to the wall in terms of resource management, they tend to react violently because it has to do with livelihood and living. And why climate change is important is because those issues that really connect people with living will continue to be fundamental in the interaction between different resource users. Pastoralists are now coming down with their herds down to the coast in Badagry or in Epecrix. They have to feed their animals. They must have passed through farmlands across the whole land, and there is yet to be, apart from what is happening on the maybe in the national bill, the commission on grazing. Guidelines are not really there. So you have every year people are fighting in Oyo, there are conflicts here and there, and some even spiral into big crises in the middle belt like the Benue and Plateau and all those. So I believe the isolation of the poor from crisis will be accentuated with the problems of climate change unless there are mitigation measures and plans like for instance, we have a plan, at least the national plan, the National Commission on Grazing is one good thing if it comes out with guidelines and guidance on now that is going to be done about grazing reserves, about grazing routes. That will provide a kind of national framework which can educate the people, and then that resource is given some planning. That should go to all our environmental issues, to flooding in coastal areas, because the poor will normally react. They depend on environment and natural resources.
Yes, and the issue here, sorry, just so to extend it, and it's a very good analysis, is that climate change has caused this. Unfortunately, the climate change is not going away. The climate change is getting worse. Ban Ki-moon recently said, and I think I mentioned that on this program, he said it has reached a critical stage. He said we should be under no illusion. Who are we talking about saying this? We're talking about Ban Ki-moon, Secretary General of the United Nations, intelligent man, very intelligent. He said, be under no illusion. This is a crisis. And if you take a patient to the hospital and the doctor tells you it's critical, you know that this patient is approaching death. Ban Ki-moon says environment has reached a critical stage. We're now hearing from United Nations researchers that one of the major causes of climate change, which is carbon dioxide, has reached what they call a threshold level of 400 ppm, that is 400 parts per million. 400 molecules of carbon dioxide per million molecules of the atmosphere. And before that, this is the first time in man's appearance on Earth that it's been that high. Before that, it always was around 280, 270. So then it started going up to 300, Industrial Revolution. When they saw it peaking at 350, they now saw that, okay, the average temperature of the Earth has gone up. Global warming has started and the climate has started changing. Now it's gone to 400. It means the temperature of the Earth is going to go up even more, and we're going to have more exacerbated climate change. So these things that Alade was elucidating about are going to become more prominent. And a lot of the question that a lot of people are asking is, why aren't we taking this more seriously? This is one of the major causes of insecurity. It's one of the major causes of poverty in our country. There's a climate change bill has been waiting to be signed by the presidency. Wait for this. For the last 2.5 years, it was passed by the House of Senate. It was passed by the reps, presented to the desk of the president, sat there for 40 days, and now became moribund. So it's have to be repeated. They're going to represent it to the presidency. Climate change bill, setting up a climate change commission, which will be multi-ministerial. Agriculture will be there, of course. Ministry of Environment will be there. Justice will be there. All the ministers, because it's all-encompassing. And we're hoping and praying that at least this one will now be signed and put into law.
Desmond, this thing you said about this carbon dioxide thing, does it mean that we're going to see hotter days in this part of the world, and the other side is going to see even worse winters than what they saw this last winter?
It means you better service your air conditioner in this studio, because it's going to get hotter.
That's what we're expecting.
Definitely. It's going to get a little bit hotter. But more importantly, because of this aberration, it means we're going to see more aberrant weather patterns, like the kind of rain that fell last year that caused our floods. I mean, it
We're going to see
rained,
more of that.
it rained a lot. That was a lot of rain. But what caused the flood was that rain was condensed. It fell in a short space of time.
Yes.
And it totally inundated whatever resources are there to remove the rain. We're going to see more of that. We're going to see more of these hurricanes. We're going to see more of these cyclones. But more frighteningly is if we allow this to continue in this way. And this is why Ban Ki-moon is saying it's a crisis. This is why Prince Charles is saying this is very serious. If we allow this to continue in this way, the polar ice caps start to melt more and we see ocean rise. God forbid that we
allow
shall
it
see this.
to happen.
If
we allow it to happen. Mr. Adeleke, what can we do so that this does not happen? Because, I mean, from what you're describing, I'm looking far, far ahead, and I'm seeing extinction of man.
God forbid.
You're talking about
and more trees. Remember,
carbon dioxide rising. Very soon there won't be any oxygen for us.
Aladdin has a plan. He has a plan to stop
some,
this.
some information which is very, very important. The first thing for people to take note when there are problems, maybe globally, it's like all of us in a house. We are together in this business. It's not a matter of something is happening in America, it will not happen in Nigeria. So we are in the same planet together.
Yeah.
That's the first thing to realize. The second thing is that science is getting stronger about what is happening to us as a people already. And that's why we are able to know that the carbon dioxide released to the atmosphere is not reducing. Our preparation for eventualities must be more serious. Countries, nations, we have to spend more money in preparing themselves for things that will happen. What happened during the Hurricane Katrina and all those things were not preempted. So countries now should have plans of looking at coastal cities and how to live your life on the coast.
That Hurricane Katrina may come over and over and over again.
It may not be called Katrina. But
But
what I'm trying to say is that,
Hurricane
for instance, let's take example. There should be global action. There should be local action. We can see the kind of awareness the Lagos State government trying to clear drains, making sure that heavy rains. These are the things that will have to be happening in the cities, and possibly mitigation measures of you moving a little bit away from the coast to live. The other thing is our dry land areas. We have some actions that are going on in the country which we should commend and try to improve on them in terms of implementation. Currently, the president, signed a release of 10 billion naira to start the process of the Great Green Wall, which was discussed since about 2005 by the African Union, which is a belt of forest from Zamfara in the northwest to Borno in the northeast. This is a 15-kilometer stretch of forest, which will be like a belt that will, reduce the extent of, desertification done. This is a good measure by the African Union.
Yep.
The Nigerian project has started. If we are able to get it done from Senegal to Djibouti, it's going to assist the continent in terms of the issue in the dry land areas where some of the problems are.
Yeah.
In the coast areas, there should be a kind of strategic coastal management system like we have already done for the dry land areas, so that our people, our populations know what it means when we talk about climate change, know what it means when we talk about flood charges, flood management, and you will know that as in many other parts of the world, the real coastal cities are where the economies of the world lies. Take note of it. All the big cities where the money, the oil, the everything is, are in the coast.
But you will agree that the ignorance or lack of understanding of climate change in Nigeria is a major issue.
It is. And that's why the responsibility of civil society groups, even government, is to continue to raise awareness. Explain. Awareness, not just awareness. Explaining how that issue called climate change affects you, and what you can do. Everybody has something to do. Before, we used to say, industrial nations, they are emitting carbon, they are not they are not signing Kyoto Protocol. Now that you know that if the US sign or Germany doesn't sign, you are still affected. Then you have to be connected. Everybody, one way or the other, have something to do that links climate change. Awareness is crucial.
Okay, I think I'll take that as your last word. Everyone has something to do about it. Otherwise, we shall all suffer for it. That seems to be the last word of Mr. Adeleke on this matter. And I hope you have been able to connect the dots between climate change and Boko Haram or insecurity. Thank you very much for coming.